welcome back to another episode of Road to Pro. Today we're going to be going over rollover or snake shot. Not personally my shot of choice, but if you're new to playing foosball, this shot can slingshot, had to use the phrase, your game to the next level. A wrist rocket, slingshot, or wrist rocket, snake shot, or rollover are all really the same thing. They're where you place your wrist on the rod and pull the rod basically into your hands. The rod flips over and you hit the ball. There's some really cool tips and tricks I think for this shot that'll be great for you guys. Let's get on the table. Now before we actually get into shooting the snake shot, I want to explain why the shot is legal, because a lot of people have asked me, aren't you spinning the rods and that's illegal? Yes and no. The rule states very clearly that the rod cannot spin 360 degrees before or after striking the ball. Since you are pinned on top of the ball 360 degrees before striking the ball, your guy would still have to be in this position before striking it. Since the rod is not going a full 360 degrees and is going, for a rough estimate, 350 degrees, it's technically a legal shot. Alright guys, so for this one, as you can see, I've changed our camera angle quite a bit from normal, but I feel like it's going to be the best way to go over how to shoot a rollover so you guys can get all the pieces, because there's a lot to how to put your wrist on the rod and how to actually hit the ball. To start, the absolute key to a rollover is a really good rock. You want to go full width of the ball and really learn to, and this is something you actually have to practice, really learn to feel the ball underneath the guy and on your wrist so you can get used to it. Just like that. Now, when it comes to placement of your wrist on the handle itself, hand set a ball underneath the front foot pinned forward. A good way to get an idea of where your wrist needs to be on the rod is to actually go very slow and roll your hand down to find out where that spot is. Now for me, when I do that, my wrist ends up in the middle of the rod. That's because when you're rolling the rod over, it just kind of goes centered. For me personally, it's right on this portion of my wrist, opposed to in the middle. And I see a lot of people try and practice it in the middle, and a lot of great players do. I just can't. My skin moves a little too much, and it gives too much of a variance. There's not enough control there. But right here, my skin doesn't move as much. So for me, I feel like that's the best spot for me to place the portion of my wrist against the rod so that I have a good control of the rock. Now, I have seen so many different people shoot this so many different ways. Tony Spreedeman is up and underneath, almost with his elbow straight back. Billy Pappas is straight up and down, like that. And Ryan Moore is almost curved underneath. He gets a really good feel for the ball, and he can kind of walk it around a bit. And same with Tony. Tony has a great way of being able to walk the ball with his hand underneath. But for the purpose of this and just learning the basics, I would find a good spot on your wrist that allows for you to catch the rod with your fingertips extended. So once you actually flip the rod over, you're going to want to catch the rod in a way that the foot is just shy of being level with the table. It'll almost be level with the table, but a little bit closer to the table surface, opposed to actual parallel with the table. What this does, a lot of people I see end it like here. They can't get the full power, and some people go way up here, and it's a wasted effort and wasted motion. So you're really going to want to be able to find the spot where your hand can go almost level with the table, and you get a good location to where it grabs into your hand. Because that's really where you get the power, is where it catches into your fingertips. To start off, I've found a really old practice technique that I use to learn to shoot it. I actually had a little disc back in the day that I used to practice this a long time ago, but for the practice and purpose of this, we're going to do something that I already knew about, that I found was very helpful to me. So what you're going to want to do is take a ball and put it on both sides of the guy. You're going to want the ball to be almost in the same spot as the ball in the middle when it comes to like a straight line across the table. Kind of like that. And it's going to be in between the first and second dot and, what is that? The sixth and seventh dot. The reason for this is it gives you a really good idea of how to cut the ball back, and it's not perfectly straight. So what you're going to do is you're going to set your guy on top of this ball, just like you would in your regular snake shot position. I really don't want you to rock on this because you're going to lose the ball if you do. This is just so that you can get the idea of the motion and the full length that you have to go to hit the ball correctly. To do this, pick up the guy lightly, but just ever so much, okay? I don't want you lifting way up, just a tiny bit. Come over, hit the ball, and cut back the opposite direction. Just like with the push or the pull shot, you need to cut back across the ball so that it straightens out and comes back into the goal opposed to angling off. You see a lot of people shoot a snake shot and it angles and hits the corners. That's because they're not cutting back across the ball. You have to actually cut back across the ball for it to come and straighten out just like you would a pull shot. Now, same idea for the push side. When you're practicing that, just lift up ever tiny bit, come over, and hit the ball and cut back. So what you're doing is when you come out, you're actually, when the guy's coming down, you're coming back this direction. Same with the pull side. As you're hitting the ball, you're actually coming back the opposite direction so that it straightens out. Inertia, physics, not a physics major. This, to me, is a fantastic tool. All you need is 3 balls to do it. And it gives you a really great idea of how to get the motion to hit the ball without having to learn all the pieces at once. Now, once you do have a good idea and you can hit this pretty consistently and you're doing really well with it, that's when you want to start the rock. This is, again, one of the most important parts. So to go push side or pull side, it's kind of like a brush pass in the sense where if I want to go pull side, I'm going to start on this side of the ball, come across, and then cut back. Doing this slow is like impossible for me. Just like that. And then for the push side, this side of the ball, and then cut back. The cutback is super important. The timing is super important. Putting all the pieces together is very important. But once you kind of do those basic drills and figure out the length you have to go to pull and hit the ball and how to cut it back to where it hits the hole correctly, you're going to be able to get the full rock going. Now, the reason the full rock is very important is because once you have this motion, you can go from either side of the ball and just hammer away. The theory is once you have this rock going, you can really pick a direction by going from the opposite side and hitting the ball. To me, those two are obviously very important. A lot of people neglect their middle, and when they're playing in tournament, they hesitate with the middle, and when they're rocking, they stop before they shoot a middle. Rock, 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 oh, a middle, and then they shoot. Obviously, you don't want to do that. That would be a mistake. You want everything to look the same so that when you do execute the shot, it looks just like everything else. So you're actually going to want to do it in rock. See how it stopped? Gives you an idea of where the shot's going. If you're doing it in motion, you can actually go from push or pull slightly. So if you want to go middle, you can kind of almost go forward, and as you're coming back, hit middle. Or go towards the pull and come back and hit middle. It's just 2 different ways to hit the same hole and make it look the same. Those are some of the basics, guys. I hope they really work for you. Those are the training methods I've used. I do kind of want to disclaimer this a little bit. Get a fresh wrap when you're shooting. It's very, I don't want to say very important, but it's pretty darn important. Your wrist is going to hurt. You're going to end up with marks on your wrist. You can see them on mine. From just practicing it here and there, When you get like a blister or something, stop, work on something else for a while, and then come back to it while you're learning the shot. It's something that's gonna happen. You're gonna develop a callus in this area. It's a very sensitive, smooth area for most people, so it's gonna take time to develop that callus, develop the what's the toughness? We're gonna go with toughness. With the toughness that it takes to shoot it. Not everybody has that problem. Maybe I'm just have sensitive skin. I don't know. But I know a lot of guys that have cut their wrists open shooting the shot a lot. But I would suggest learning it slow and also practice on the whole game in the meantime. And those would be my main tips. Thank you guys so much for watching another episode of Road to Pro. If you would, please leave a comment, click the subscribe button, click the like button. It really does help me out. Gets the views up, all that kind of great stuff. Moves our videos from the bottom to the top. So really do appreciate that. I hope you liked the video. Like I said, please comment, like, and subscribe. And next time, guys, I think we're going to be going over the reasons not to shoot a push shot. To me, you know what? We're going to save that for the next episode. Till next time, guys, happy foosing.